Hi, I'm Mr. Turner. If you don't know me, if you're in my class, I'm sorry you have to now watch a recording of me talking after sitting there listening to me talking, but you'll live. So this assignment is actually a World War One war game that I've put together, and I wanted to tell you a little bit about it, and then I'll tell you how it works. So war games were created to train officers, in particular, staff officers, um, on how to deal with combat situations. But what they normally do is they take an actual historic thing, an actual historic attack, uh, and they game it through to see what could have been done different. And frequently, wargaming would be two sides, there'd be groups of officers, um, and they pay a lot of attention to logistics. So they pay a lot of attention to how many bullets, what kind of shells are in the artillery, how are you getting them there. We're not doing that with this one. What we're doing is we're going to look at an operation from World War One, and we're going to end up testing you and see how well you do. Now, obviously, we're not putting you in a wartime situation in any way, shape, or form. We're not even really sort of stressing you on time. But you will go through and you will make a series of decisions, and these are the same decisions that were made by officers trying to take over some German trenches. So everything is based on historic things in reality. So the numbers that you will roll are based on percentages that were developed for wargaming, actually by the British Army after World War One. So I'm using their system, which gives me some idea in terms of mathematically what were your chances of taking a trench, what kind of casualties under with these decision parameters would you have. So you're getting what they at least thought 19, 20, 21, 22 were realistic numbers. We're pretty close to those. So that's where the sort of numbers come from. It's not stuff that I've just sort of pulled out of thin air. So that's where that starts. I'm giving you an actual unit that existed in World War One. It's the 93rd Infantry Division. Their division patch shows a French helmet on it. And the reason for that is this was an African American unit. And when we got into World War One, we meaning the United States, the French were so out, they're just out of man. They don't have replacements for these massive losses they've suffered. And so they asked the United States basically just send us troops, put them in battalion sized units, we'll attach them to experienced French units, and that's the best way to use them, which is probably true. But the United States, for political reasons, was like, no, we're going to have an American army, and we're going to have our American boys led by Americans. But a compromise was reached, somewhat sadly, I think, in that a number of African American units were handed over to the French. And these guys were put in French uniforms and given French guns and given virtually all of their equipment were French. And they remained as an American division, but beyond that division level, so about 20,000 guys, they were attached to French Corps. And the sad fact is that this division, along with its sister African American divisions, the French were more open to serving in the trenches next to them than their white American countrymen. Just was a fact. This division performed better than most. It performed very well. And so that's the unit that you're going to be commanding, or a company within that unit. It's based on the battle that took place in the Meuse-Argonne in 1918, and the sort of last offensive of the war began in September of that year. And the target, the bunker, is actually based on what is called the Demon Bunker. The Demon Bunker was unsuccessfully attacked repeatedly by the French in 1916 during the Battle of Verdun. It was on the southern side of the Verdun battlefield. In 1918, during the Meuse-Argonne, it was attacked by the Americans, and it held up an entire American division, about 23,000 soldiers, for over a day. And so the bunker eventually was captured. It still exists. It's in a French farm field where they plow around it. You really can't get to it, but you can see it from the road. So it's still there, at least in large part. So the scenario for the war game is, should we have assigned a small unit specifically to that bunker with sort of unlimited artillery and with support on the sides or the flanks? And would that have worked? And so the answer is, I'll tell you now, is it would have worked better than what we did if we did it right. So your job is going to be to figure out how to do it right. So the Demon Bunker is on a place called the Falcon Hill in French. If I say it in French, it just sounds obscene, so I won't. But what you'll do is you're going to be presented a couple of decisions. How do you want to use your artillery, and how do you want to mass your men? And you're going to be given advice. You're going to be given sort of what was the Americans' training, what were you trained to do. You're going to be given advice from a French officer who would have been assigned to you. This would have been a French officer who was present in 1916 when this position was attacked, and they failed. And you will get advice from others. So you will decide, based on that, what you want to do. You'll make your decision. You'll click that link. So the first decision about artillery, the second decision is about your formation. So you'll click on that. And eventually, as you go through this process, you will come to places where you're going to see how you did. And it's done by percentages. You go to a random number generator that's linked there. You hit it, and then you find the number you got, and you click on that link. It's just like we did, for those of you in U.S. history, it's just like we did for the labor strike game. Same idea. And then there's a link there that'll tell you, where to go if you have another decision to make, or if you succeed or if you fail. So that's how it's going to work. And just like in real life, if you failed, frequently you would be told within a matter of usually an hour, time to go try again. So you can try again. And we'll just roll through it and see how you do. So the other thing I should point out is there are going to be little videos, sadly, of me again, in various places on these links or on these pages as you open up the links. They're there for more information. They'll be shorter than this one, and it'll give you a little bit of an idea of the history. It'll also give you a little bit of the idea of, or it may give you a clue as to what you should do. So that's it. Thank you, guys. I hope you have a little fun, because history should be a lot of fun, especially, and I hope you succeed. Thank you.